Hello and welcome to Energizing Habits, Simple Strategies for a Sustainable Healthy Lifestyle. I'm your host, Vicki Cleary. I guide ambitious and busy women through sustainable habit change so they can reduce stress, have more energy, be more productive, and thrive. Now, over the past few weeks, we've been talking about cleaning up various aspects of our lives, kind of like a little detox, right? Various types of detoxes. And I want to close out this topic by talking about cleaning up yet one more habit that can lead to less stress, which transitions us then perfectly into no stress November. So today I want to talk about how multitasking kills your productivity. Multitasking gets in the way of achieving your results, making it harder to reach your goals. And of course, we live in a culture that pushes that hustle hard, right? We are rewarded for trying to cram as much as is humanly possible into our daily lives. And for women, this is often compounded when we have kids. Now, if I can do one thing well, why not two or three or even five all at the same time? The idea of doing it all has really gotten kind of ridiculous, right? It's not that you can't do it all. It's just that you probably shouldn't do it all at the same time. And that's because that handling several things at once actually makes it less likely that you'll do a good job on any of them. The truth is, when you tackle several things at once, you're working against the way your brain really functions. You can't focus deeply on more than one thing at a time because your brain is too busy splitting itself by trying to pay attention to all those different tasks. So for instance, when you eat lunch while working, right? Has anyone done that? I can say that I'm guilty of eating while working, but the more I hear and see the effects of this, the more I become more cognizant and more purposeful of not doing it. But when you eat while working, your brain may prioritize the work, right? That it seems might find that is more important, a bigger priority. And it's not then focusing on the food that you're eating, meaning that your brain isn't fully registering the fact that you just ate. Your belly may be full, but your brain hasn't picked up on the fact fully that you have eaten, or then that you are full. And that means that you can actually overeat, or you might be done with what you brought for lunch, but then not long after, you're actually going to be hungry again, because of, again, the mind brain versus the gut brain is saying that, and we didn't actually eat. I don't remember eating. Did we eat? And so it's wanting to compensate and tell your body, hey, we need to eat, when in fact your belly is quite full and it's already digesting lunch. Another example is if you are trying to update a report while having a conversation with a coworker, you may not be fully listening to what that coworker is saying, or you may not be paying attention to what you're putting in that report. And that's actually kind of scary. Who does that report go to, and what did you actually put in it, right? So a funny thing that I like to think about with that is, I don't know if you've ever been engaged in a conversation like that while you're trying to type, and either the thing that you just heard or the thing that you're getting ready to say to the person is exactly what you type into whatever you're typing. So again, that's where it gets kind of scary. It's like, wait a second, I just put that on my paper rather than, out loud. So when we get distracted or brain gets segmented, we have those opportunities for error. So again, it might seem like you're streamlining your to-do list by tackling several things at once, but you're actually cluttering your brain. This can lead to more mistakes, retaining less info, and actually changing how your brain works, not for the better, right? Here's another example, right? If you're driving and maybe you're heavily thinking on something, whatever it could be. Maybe there's an issue that happened, or you're excited about your weekend plans, and so you're kind of thinking about that. You're not really connecting to your driving, which is also kind of dangerous. So don't do that. But, how many times have you left the house and thought, oh crap, did I close the garage door? Or my favorite, and my daughter laughs at me every single time, because we'll plan to go to Target and we'll be talking about something and we drive right by Target. And then we realize we get home sometimes, or we're like further down the road. It's like, wait, we were going to go to Target. So we're not fully connecting, right? Our brain can't fully connect with all these different things. And so your IQ then, studies show that your IQ actually drops 15 points while you're multitasking. Now that's a lot. And when you need to be paying attention to something, your brain's prefrontal cortex springs to action. It keeps your brain focused on a single goal, while the other parts of the brain are actually working alongside to help you finish that task. So when you work on one task at a time, both sides of that prefrontal cortex actually work together in beautiful harmony. But if you then add in another task, you try to focus on two different things at a time, the left side and the right sides end up doing their own thing, right? So you've got the parts of your brain basically operating in their own spheres and not connecting to each other. So you can see how this would make it hard for your brain to focus, and making it even harder for you to pay attention to the details and retain more information. And again, researchers say that this can cause up to 3 times as many mistakes, right? So even if you think you're being productive and getting something done, if you've got mistakes in it and you have to redo it, now you've just lost your productivity, right? So that's multitasking, right? And you can see how it is actually less efficient than you might think and ruins our focus. Now, another thing that we do within our work, and probably within our lives, it negatively affects our focus, energy, and productivity, is context shifting. So context shifting happens when you move from one task to an unrelated one, like from one project to a completely different one, or from one meeting to another. Context shifting leaches your productivity. It increases stress and it costs you hours of time. And here's why. Research shows it takes an average of 23 minutes to regain focus after a distraction, because different parts of your brain are activated every time you switch between tasks. Even ones as simple as answering a teammate's question while trying to update that report that we were talking about, or attending one meeting after another ends. That's 23 minutes to refocus. And how many times during the day are you having to refocus on something? So this means that when you think you're ready to focus on something, a task, a project, what have you, your brain isn't fully caught up with you yet in those first 23 minutes. And then you could probably just tack that 23 minutes onto the end of how long it's going to take you to do that thing. So now between multitasking and context shifting, we're losing focus time to get our work done, and it's creating stress and causing mistakes. And while this is really good information to be aware of when it comes to, how do we increase our productivity, what does this have to do with our wellness goals, right? So if you got through this so far and haven't even thought that question yet, good for you. But I'm going to tie it in now to why this is good information that we can hone in to get better about achieving our goals. So just one example here, experts have found that people who multitask a lot have a higher body weight and BMI, or body mass index, than people who don't. So the theory is that multitasking affects the part of your brain, your prefrontal cortex, we just talked about that, that is responsible for self-control. And it actually becomes less active when your brain has to juggle all those different tasks at the same time. This means that it is harder to make good decisions when it comes to your health and fitness goals. Studies now show people who are more apt to zone out of their self-control when they're multitasking, right? So you're multitasking, trying to get things done, but you also know that you're trying to not eat candy that's on your desk because of Halloween, which I say that because it's Halloween as we're recording. but you've got that candy sitting there. You've been really good about it, so far all day, but you're multitasking and you're like, dang it, I'm just gonna eat that candy bar, right? And you just pull it out and eat it, and you don't even know that you did it. Your brain hasn't even fully registered that you did it. So let's take snacking as another example, or eating lunch while you work. So you, again, may not notice that you're doing it. Your brain isn't fully registering that you're doing it. Now, on top of that, people who feel stressed while multitasking, which most likely they are because multitasking causes stress within the brain, because it's having to do so many different things. So again, people who feel stressed while multitasking tend to eat more unhealthy snacks. So why is that? Stress is linked to food cravings, right? We know that. And we know that multitasking is linked to stress. So therefore, we could, pretty easily figure out multitasking leads to stress, which leads to cravings. Multitasking can therefore lead to cravings. And of course, when you're craving, what do? If your self-control is out of whack because you're not able to control yourself because you're multitasking, you're probably going to eat the thing that you're craving or something that's not in line with your health and wellness goals. So you kind of see now that link between multitasking, context shifting, and that negative impact on your health or on not being able to achieve your goals, even when you think that you are on the right path. Okay, so what do we do, right? If you want to be more productive and healthier, then we need to work on being laser focused. So using focus to improve our productivity. So there's many strategies that you can use to improve your focus and therefore your productivity. The first, optimize your focus time. I like to suggest to my clients that they set a timer. They pick one thing to focus on for a set time, set a timer, 15 to 30 minutes. When the timer goes off, they get rewarded with a short break. And then they'll come back refreshed, ready for the next task. There's one study that actually shows that people can really hone and get focused, right? Maybe you've heard the term get into flow for 52 minutes straight, followed by a 17-minute break. So people will get more focused when they work for 52 minutes, followed by that break. So have you heard of the Pomodoro method? A technique, either way. So Pomodoro is actually Italian for tomato. So this sounds really kind of silly, but the technique is quite effective. So stay with me. Basically, you alternate focused work sessions with frequent short breaks, which helps with concentration and to reduce mental fatigue. Now, after 4 focused sessions, then you take a longer break of like 15 to 30 minutes. Now, when you can't account for those unplanned interruptions, but when you know that you're going to have a mini break coming up, maybe that'll entice you to stay out of your email, out of your social media until that break comes so that you can, again, stay focused on getting the task done and then rewarding yourself with, that little break time. So another strategy, we'll call this strategy number 2, is to take real breaks. Savoring your breaks and using this time to stretch, go get a beverage or snack, get up and walk around. Walking can actually be quite energizing, or something else, just to give your brain a break. And our third strategy here is, we've talked about this already, no snacking or eating while you're working. Stay focused on the task at hand. If you're eating, be present and enjoy your meal or snack. And if you're working, stay focused 100% on that. And our fourth strategy, 4 or 5, so you know where we're going. Fourth strategy is to meditate or find some other way to quiet your mind. So meditation helps to reset your mind and learn to be focused on the present moment. And you actually only need a few minutes a day, every day, in order to see these benefits, which include reduce stress, improve productivity, even increase creativity. And then whether you think you're the meditation type or not, there are different ways that work for different people. Focusing on your breath, listening to soft music, or listening to a guided meditation, these are all effective options if you don't like the idea of just sitting in silence. Now, a couple of apps that I like, and I use both. I have both of them on my phone. And they have slightly different profiles, so kind of depending on what you like, sometimes you just have to try some different things and see what works for you. But Balance app, and Headspace app are 2 really good options for allowing you to try guided meditation, guided breathing exercises, or focus on your breath. And they even have like music and different things to help you fall asleep. So another bonus if you're maybe having trouble falling asleep. Balance also offers new members their first year for free. So that might be a nice one to start with, just because it's free for an entire year. Okay, strategy number 5 to regain our focus, to improve our laser focus, is to strategically tackle your to-do list. And this is actually a 2-parter. So the first part of strategically tackling your to-do list is to batch your work. So if you are not familiar with this, let's go back to how context shifting drains our productivity when we switch between unrelated tasks. So you can reduce this effect, this negative effect, by working on similar tasks. So if you're using your Pomodoro technique, when you have your different work pockets, working on similar tasks, maybe it's writing scripts, right, for different things, or maybe it's creating graphics for different things, right? Similar tasks. And then when you take your longer break and come back, then you can shift to something that is completely different. They'll reduce that fatigue back and forth from context shifting. The other part of this strategically tackling your to-do list is take a look at your to-do list and order the items in such a way that makes sense for you, for them to get done in the day, rather than just being random. Is there a particular order that makes sense because they feed into a larger task or project at the end of the day? Or maybe you've got a deadline in the morning and a deadline in the afternoon, so you would do the morning task first. And then you could also take note of how your energy flows. This takes a little bit of paying attention over time. But if you can figure out when it's easier for you to focus, some people find it easier to focus in the morning. Some people find it easier to focus in the afternoon. If you can figure out which of those works for you, then you can plan your heavy focus time in that area, morning or afternoon. And then the other tasks that you need to do can filter around that. So those are several different ways that you can start to practice improving your focus. And if you're a regular multitasker, I ask you to give yourself permission to do just one thing at a time. The key to remember here is that when we're in this hustle energy and trying to make all the things happen, our brains are likely not as tuned in as we think they are. We become more prone to mistakes, and it requires more energy to bounce around between these various tasks. And of course, this could be causing your lack of energy and your lack of self-control to follow through on your wellness habits and goals. But you don't have to work that way. That's the beautiful thing. You don't have to work that way. You can be more productive and not finish your day completely drained. You can have the energy to get your workout done or go for a walk with your spouse. You can maintain self-control and not dive into a bag of potato chips while you're cooking dinner, because I've also been there. See? Sharing, I've been there. I'm with you. I know how it feels, but we have strategies that we can use. We just have to be aware of them and start to practice them. So my energizing habit for you today, which you can try today or this week, use a timer for your tasks, right? Most of our phones anymore have a timer, or you can get a real cheap egg timer, right? The kind that you crank and tick, tick, tick. If you don't like the tick, then don't do that one. But set the timer. Determine what amount of time you think is needed to get that task done. Just one task, just one item from your to-do list. Set that timer. And then when it goes off, take a short 5-minute break before either if you have to resume or go on to the next thing. So that is how we get started on this. We just start to time our tasks. You can build into the full Pomodoro technique later if you want to. And now I have a bonus habit for you. For those of you who eat while working, again, I have been there. If you eat while working, don't. Try it for a week and see how you feel. When you eat, focus on eating. When you work, focus on working. Don't mix the two. Don't cross the streams if I have any Ghostbusters fans out there, right? Again, Halloween reference because it's Halloween while recording. So as we step into November, which at the time that this goes live, will be on November 1st. I'll be focusing on No Stress November in the Facebook group, the Uplift Habit Shift Facebook group, and right here on the podcast. So if you want a little more support in reducing stress, reclaiming your energy, join the Facebook group. It's free. There's tons of simple, sustainable habits in there that we work on. I tend to group it. So November, No Stress November, we'll be going into gratitude. And so we kind of have these pockets of topics, because again, we like to batch, right? So that we cannot be all over the place. Now, you can also schedule a call with me. I'd love to discuss your goals and how habit change can help you achieve them. So I'll post a link to all this below in the show notes. And when you schedule a call with me this month, in this month of November, when you schedule a call, you get to take advantage of my Black Friday specials. So I'm going to have more on these Black Friday specials coming up in future episodes, but you have to schedule the call to take advantage of them. So leave it at that. That's what I have for you today. If you found this episode valuable, please like it, leave a review, a comment below, share it with someone else who might find it valuable. Of course, subscribe to the channel, to the podcast. If you have any questions about creating sustainable habits or creating a healthy lifestyle that works for you, please send them my way. Facebook, Instagram Messenger at Uplift Healthy Lifestyle, or email me, Vicky@uplifthealthylifestyle.com. All right. Have an energized and no stress November day.